Good day, YouTube. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to revisit our first aid kits, the discussion we had the other day. Stick around for a minute. Okay, so yeah, the other day we did a video on restocking some of our first aid kits, and I had some really good feedback and discussion on that, and I wanted to readdress that. Plus, I found some other kits that I'm working on that I was going to go through maybe a little more slowly and go into the issues with these, and we can talk about it or talk about it some more. But one first thing up, Wardrum's Network, he knows who he is, asked about tourniquets. And I do have two tourniquets, but I don't keep them in these kits. I keep one in my day bag, and I have one that I keep on like my harness, my chest harness. So I always have one there when I go to the range or whatever. So I got two tourniquets basically, and they can be used, but really, these are high speed and good to go, but you can make a tourniquet out of any webbing, belt, anything to cut off circulation, right? It's not a hard thing to do. Obviously there's guidelines. You don't want to use 550 cord or string or nothing, but any wide, just like that glow belt right there, you could use that. Anything that's going to cut off that circulation to the extremity can be used as a tourniquet. So while these are quick and handy, they're definitely not a necessity, as long as you just get an idea of how to use your belt or whatever to seal off that circulation there. But these are handy and good to go, and practice with them. Getting them on one-handed in particular is a challenge, just in case. It's good practice, but that's the answer on tourniquets. I do have two, but they're kept separate from any of my kits. And really, I don't want somebody else who I don't know trying to use my tourniquet on me. If they know how to use one, they'll use my belt or something. It's just, I don't know. It's the kind of a back of my head thought, because people can screw you up too if they use it for the wrong reasons, or if you don't need one, right? But then Hooples Cat had a good comment, excellent comment. He broke down a whole laundry list of things. And I'll put the comment, scroll down through here to show everybody, and I'll probably miss a few things going off the cuff here. But first thing I think he's getting at, and kind of the focus of his channel, and he's probably got a lot of stuff over there, but he was focusing on what I acted as comment was bugging out. None of these kits are built to bug out with, like, you're never going to come back or whatever. He talked about ankle sprain, or having sprains and having wraps for that. I do have tape in here for everything, which is not reusable, but I do have wraps in a couple of the kits, and I think I have some in this kit here. But we do have wraps that we have here in the house and stuff like that you can use for sprains and whatnot. But if I'm in the field or whatnot, I'm going to use the tape I've got. But I think that's a differentiation of what he was going after with some of his comments, is bugging out, which is all legit. It's all good comments. It's all good points. But that's not the way I've kind of thought about using these. These are more trauma, car wreck, interim, not long-term stuff. Not something I can't find assistance after the fact type of thing. So just a difference in mode of use and thought process when I was doing that. But it's definitely worth considering. He also talked about eye wash, which is good. It definitely, especially in wooded areas that you got back there in the east especially. We got them up here in the higher mountains, but that's why you want to wear your eye protection for sure. But you could get anything in your eye, whether it's the wind blowing the dust and sand like it is around here, you get caught up in a dust devil or something, or anything. You could get potentially something in your eyeball, and that's something you want to be able to clear out quick. So that is a good point. I would have to look at how I'm going to fit it in these tight kits. I'm going to look at that. Because that is a good point, to have some saline solution to eye wash. And he also mentioned irrigating a wound. I don't know if I want to take the time to irrigate. I guess you could irrigate certain wounds. Obviously, big trauma, gunshots and stuff, it would just be pack and move. But there are situations where you might want to irrigate, especially if you're days after. And like I said, a bug out situation, you need to clean later to repack and reevaluate, right? So that's kind of that point, I think. But that's a consideration I might look into. Saline doesn't freeze as quick as regular water, so it's not as big a concern if it's going to freeze in the vehicle with one of the first aid kits. So going to look into that and figure out how I can fit it, how I want to pack that. But that's a good point. We do have saline here in the house and stuff for stuff around here, but not in any kits that I have. Let's see what else. He also mentioned having a bag, and this was an interesting comment. He talked about having a garbage bag or something in the top of your kit, like a regular, so you can throw it out and just like here, dump all your stuff on top of your bag, like it's laid out here, when you go to use it, so that you can get to everything. It's easily accessible. It's there. Plus, it's off the ground. It's clean. Good point. And you can always reuse the bag, right? The bag has multiple purposes. I got a poncho. I got a water catchment. I got snow. I can load snow up in it. Whatever. I can do lots of things with this bag after the fact. I can use it for a chest seal if I absolutely had to. It's not as durable as I want, but hey. So, you know, if I got, there's lots of things I can do with this bag. Anyway, but he mentioned having a bag on top. Now you can get, this is a pretty thin, cheap Walmart bag, and it compacts down pretty small. You wouldn't want to use the biggest leaf bag because it would take up a lot of room. But I think I can get that down to a pretty small level and maybe fit that in there. So that's a good thing to take into consideration. Now you do want to train with that when you go to use this gear, that you train to use this and throw your gear on top of it. Obviously you wouldn't want to, you know, practice using your kit without using that mode of use. So if you're going to plan on using the bag, practice that a couple of times, going up to somebody, getting your bag out, throwing your gear on top, and how that would work. As he mentioned, like stress of the situation and stuff. If you haven't, especially if you haven't looked in your bag and used a lot of the items in your bag, you start fumbling around, you forget what's in there. Laying it all out quickly in a stressful situation might easily make it more easy for you. Don't tongue twist myself. Make it easier for you to reach and find what you are trying to get to, items wise, out of your kit. So good point there by Hupels. Go check out his channel. He's got lots of medical stuff. He does lots of, he's been hitting the pandemic planning here lately pretty hard. So, but he is a nurse up in the Great White North and has a lot of experience. So it's good points there. And then there's probably another one that I've missed, but I'll put the comments in here too, like I said, so that you can all see it, or go back to the old last video and see it. So I found a couple other kits. This is the one I was talking about, my other tactical kit, and this is another car kit that I'm going to remake. I'm going to need to rebuild this one. This one is going to, now that I pulled everything out, I've noticed I definitely have some stuff I'm going to need to replace. So I dumped that bag out. I've got some damage here to my 4x4, so I'm going to replace this 4x4. The quick clot still looks good. I'm going to keep that. The pads, though, it looks like maybe water got in it or something. So moisture or something got in there, so I'm going to replace those. Still got a pressure bandage. It still looks good. Got the antibiotic stuff that looks good. Now I was able to get a Food Saver sealed kit way back when, and it looks like it has lost its seal. So I'm going to open that up and see what I got, and maybe replace things, or see if I need to. This is where I got the idea for this when I was talking about the last time. Is I actually had one but I didn't do it, so I couldn't take credit for having the idea. But you see, I got gauze, some tension pneumothorax stuff, and an airway in there. So it's a blowout kit basically, also, and a chest seal. So that stuff all looks good because it's been in here. It looked like it maybe broken the seal around the seam or something. A little air had gotten in there, but everything looks good. So we'll re-bag this stuff and look to put it back in there. The nasal looks good. The gauze, I'm gonna add a gauze, I think, to this, and there's one glove, and that's when you go to look at it. It's like I must have taken out a couple other gloves at some point because I know I've always kept more than one pair. But I've used them for something in the past out of here, and I've only got one, so that's why you check your stuff, right? So I need to replace a couple pair of gloves out of that to move on with out of that kit. So that's another blowout kit that I'm going to make more robust, and we'll go into that. So, and then I got my other car kit. This has kind of got some owie stuff, some 4x4s and whatnot. I got basically a bandage, triangular bandage for slinging, pair of those things. What do you call these? What are these called? Tweezers. And I have one of those in my big kit too that I showed the other day. That new one I built, I had a pair of big tweezers, so that'll be useful. It could be useful to pick things out of wounds and stuff. These are some old gloves that probably need to be replaced. Some moleskin was in here. That's old. We'll replace that. Get that out of there. Old 4x4s need to go away, so we'll move all that stuff. This has definitely gotten wet. Bigger bandages. So this one's been through some water or something. Got left out in the rain, you never know. Yeah, this is all. So this is older stuff that I'm going to need to replace out of this kit and move on. We'll just take all this stuff off the table and restock it completely and put some all new stuff in mode of use on that, because I'm planning on this is going to go in the other vehicle. Tweezers will still be good. Okay, so getting into reloading these, or loading this one up, and I'm just going to reload this one, but I think I'm going to add, like I said, a couple pair of gloves. 1, 2, let's see here, different groups. I got some 2 pair of gloves there. Gonna have to get some more gloves. And I'll make this. Got a couple 4x4s to that one. And see, I got the pressure set of gauze to that. And there's no tape in this, is there? I didn't have any tape, so we're going to add a roll of tape to this. And I need some steri strips as well that I have. So, and the antibiotic was still good. So I got a pretty good amount of wound care. I don't have any basic. This is just a blowout kit, straight blowout kit. So I think I'm going to go with that. And I got a couple other things I can start to build this. We'll start with 4x4s. Get some band-aids. Again, this is more for a vehicle kit. Yeah, I'm gonna have to clean up this container. You can see it probably got in some water or something. Definitely something happened there, so we'll clean that up before we load that up. Get some regular band-aids. I'm gonna have to get some tape, and I'm gonna have to get, see, I got antibiotic to have, and some bandages, small stuff, owie stuff. I'll have to figure out how to put a gauze into that. You still might need to pack that into a wound. So rebuilding some kits here, and I'm gonna have to get some more items for that. Gloves I'm gonna need, and I can take that from my base supply here to do that. So let me move some stuff and we'll show you. I'm gonna get into my home kit, which I didn't talk about last time. We might as well get into it this time. So this is our home kit. I'm gonna have to back it up, ain't I? So our home first aid kit, we got in a nice durable container, and this is one that gets used all the time and gets just destroyed. We pull it out for animals and everything else whenever. This is pretty much dual use for the animals as well as ourselves. So I want to need to repack this and reorganize it because it's been obviously well used and went through. But we got all the basics still, the alcohol swabs. We got gauzes, we got vet wrap, some pain relieving spray stuff, all the basic home stuff, your bandages, cold compresses, the eye wash is in here, anything like that. We got, so I'm gonna have to repack all this. We've got some other gauze, the nice gauze is in here, surgical dressings themselves. So all the home stuff, more stuff in there. I'm gonna have to reorganize all this and get this situated. But so that's our home first aid kit that we got. Basically everything that you need for if you get cut or something around here before you call the 911 or whatnot. You got enough to deal with what you got. You have the gloves in here too, which I got a box of basically stuff we can resupply this with as well, so that this can be toted around the property and whatnot, or taken around. And if it's bug out, this is going to be going in a vehicle. Thinking about, like Hupels is talking about, if we had, we're not planning on hoofing it ever, but if we, I've talked about the only time that I would plan on bugging out is basically a 500-year flood or bigger, or the nuclear fallouts coming from the Bay Area, and something like that, some scenario, weird, something off the wall. There's not many other scenarios where I see ourselves being exposed to, if earthquake comes, we, bunker down to ride it out. If we got, we could be without power, everything short of the house burning down, which then we would locate to somewhere nearby. It's not a bug out scenario, it's just a disaster scenario. But I guess the Chinese dropping out of the sky and your nuclear fallout are about the biggest ones. And in those situations, we should be able to drive and take pretty much everything in that we need with this right here alone, plus the trauma kits going with us. But I don't have like a more robust kit that I could hike out with. I would, if we saw a situation coming, and you think about it and we're going to need to leave, we would probably strip this down and repack and reorganize to get the bare minimum. But in a grab and go, we're grabbing it. So I'm gonna need to repack this and move on down to get that situated right now. So there's that. Just wanted to show that kind of, like I talked about, you can't have enough of these things because you never know where it's going to be and when you're going to need it. So definitely, have one in the house, your vehicle. I got at least a pressure dressing, trauma dressing in my day bag I carry everywhere, and then I got the kit in the car, and on and on. And wherever we go to the range, there's always a kit. And I just made that bigger one for bigger group outings and stuff that will be there. So, you can't, it's one of those things, when you need it, you really need it. You can't wait to, if you need it, trying to get it when you do need it, it's too late. So this is one of the preps that definitely can't go wrong, having your first aid kit situated and just stocking that stuff up. You can, buy magazines and stuff, are necessary, but you can't go wrong having lots of medical gear. So just some more points. Thanks for Hooples and Reb there for putting those comments out. Appreciate it. Hopefully that answers some questions and give everybody some ideas and just thoughts on, hey, a little bit. And this is, again, a little bit over time. I did a video on first aid kits 4 years ago. Then I had like 3 of these, and just over time built up and made the tackle box here, and just slowly built it up. And medical gear is not that expensive, unless you get the really expensive trauma dressings and quick clot. That adds up, but it's cheaper than a magazine. You spend $15 on a magazine, spend $15 on medical, see how much you got, And we get into the saline and alcohol and hydrogen peroxide and everything. That stuff's cheap. It's $1 for hydrogen peroxide or something like that. So don't neglect your kits. One per person, ideally. Do I have one per person? I got the big one for the house, almost. So if we need to divide it up, the young one's not going to be carrying around their own big kit, but we could give them an owie kit or something if they ever needed to go away or something. But that's just some things out there, folks. I'm sure we get plenty of good comments. Live free. And here we are with a newly food sealer bag type blowout. That'll work. Y'all have a good one. Live free.